Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to all those that are here with us today, and welcome to all those that are paying attention online. Today being October 22nd, 2025, this is the regular meeting of the Township of North Dundas Council. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and then we're going to move to adoption of the agenda. We have an amendment to the agenda. We need to add subsection 2392B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, to the in-camera session, discussion item agenda item 5, and we're going to move that in-camera section to the end of the meeting just before we adjourn. And I look to my fellow council members. Are there any other amendments? Moved by Councillor Uhrig, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, that the agenda be adopted as presented. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Any discussions, any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. Today we have two delegations. Our first delegation is the Parade of Lights Committee. We have the 4 members of the Parade of Lights Committee, but presenting today will be Brianne Scott and Sandy Burns. Ladies, if you could please come ahead. I do believe the microphone is on. Perfect.
Yep. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having us here today. My name is Brianne Scott. I'm a member of the Parade of Lights Committee.
And I'm Sandy Burns. I'm chair of the committee. But I'm going to let Brianne speak today.
Okay. So just a few updates from last year, and then we'll give you kind of an update on this year's progress. Last year we had 54 floats in the parade. We had Ron Portis as our MC, and he's coming back again this year for us. The vendor show sold out last year. We have about 40 tables each year. Last year we had a movie at the Old Town Hall after the parade, and we had no activities during the day at Old Town Hall. For this year, vendor show is sold out already, and we put our call out to volunteers. We're waiting to hear back from some of those folks. We've got 3 bands, 2 bands? 2 bands.
Two
Sorry.
bands and hopefully a third.
Yeah, 2 bands, hopefully a third. So Maple Leaf Brass Band and the Herald Brass. They are also going to have an opera singer with them. We've submitted our application to Township, so we're just kind of, I think everything is good, and we haven't heard back, so we're good on that. And we have lots of activities at the Old Town Hall this year. We're going to have puppet shows, we're going to have some movies and some cookies and stuff like that, and lots of good activities there. And lastly, the parade this year is December 6th, starts at 7, starts here at the Township office, and we will finish at the arena again. And that's pretty much it for the updates.
Thank you, Brianne, for the update. And it's good to hear that the vendor show showed up again, and it's always nice to hear how many floats have participated, because quite often that's a question asked, how many floats participated. It'd be kind of nice to, it's outside of, I'm sure, what you're able to manage, how many people were involved in making sure that those floats were prepared and ready to go up and down throughout Winchester. But I'm going to turn it over to Councillor Lennox. He has his hand up.
Thank you. So you mentioned call out for volunteers. What type of roles are you looking to fill?
We are looking to fill some roles basically right here at Township, so as the floats come in, we kind of have people to help us delegate and kind of move people around. And then on their way out, we have people helping us write down all the numbers and stuff. We have volunteers that we'll look for at Old Town Hall to help us with some of the activities, the cookie decorating and that sort of thing. And I think that's about it for volunteers.
Possibly at the arena too, to help guide floats to where they need to go. I did reach out to St. Thomas Aquinas High School in Russell, and I've already gotten 2 submissions from volunteers from them, and then you're going to be
North Dundas High School also.
Yeah, she's reaching out to North Dundas as well. So it's a win-win, because they get their volunteer hours and we get the help. So.
No, excellent. Yeah, I use the question as kind of a plug to promote. You're looking for volunteers for anybody interested in the crowd. Next up is not really a question for you, but for staff. Is everything good with their application? There. It's looking good, ladies. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And our next delegation is Navid Kobari and Will Bruning from Lactalis, Canada. Gentlemen, thank you for that presentation. I think that's the first time that we at council, at least in my memory, Mr. Kobari, that we've had seen a presentation outlining future plans, volumes, and all of those things. So I'm pretty sure I'm the only one in the room. There's only a few of us here that have been in the room longer, but I think this is the first time I've seen such a fulsome description of the investment in the community. But I do want to ask questions from council, questions, comments from members of council. Deputy Mayor Bergeron.
Yes. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Well, it's an interesting presentation on your growth, but it's come at a cost to the people of the township in lost taxation revenues and in acquired huge debt. And it all has to do with the water supply. The fact that you didn't come to us years ago to discuss your plans, it tells me that you assumed access to unlimited water. And the fact, we all know, we're quite aware now that water is very limited. So in our community for the last 4 years, we've had no growth because we've had no water. In 3 years, the municipal portion of our taxes went up 40%. And with this year, it looks like it's going to, by next year, it'll be 50%. That's how much our taxation has gone up locally because we've had no water, no growth. If I tallied your total water that you used last year, and if that went into homes, that would have brought in $948,560 in tax revenue. If your recent overuse intake over the last year had gone into home building, we would have received $2,313,680 in taxation revenue. Now, when I see the size of your enterprise, your largest plant in Canada, I just shake my head when I see your meager tax levy. In 2024, your tax levy was $162,940. And every year, like clockwork, you pay your lawyers to appeal those taxes to get them even lower. Accessing the new water well will result in a $21 million debt for our community, including and adding interest to that debt. Household hookups are now going to be $17,000 per house. Word is out about our water ban. So when a business or family comes looking to stay, they see taxes 20% less in North Stormont. They see expensive hookup fees. And now they're going to worry about the water supply. So your company consuming most of our water in the past has left us in a very vulnerable position. Yes, you do employ a lot of people, but they're not all from North Dundas. And it shouldn't be at the expense of the taxpayers. GFL next door is the largest employer in North Stormont, yet they're an asset to the community and a good corporate citizen. They haven't prevented growth. They take the garbage for free, saving them millions of dollars. Every year, they do a yearly host donation equal to 8% of North Stormont's total revenues. So GFL has donated millions of dollars to fund township projects, recreation, and even a fire truck. Well, number 8 is for our growth to increase our tax base to keep our tax levies in check. We have a new school board looking to build a school from junior K to grade 12. We have a long-term care home that's expanding. We want more families and small businesses that will pay their fair share of taxes relative to the water consumption. Well, number 8 is also not the solution. It's just another straw in the cup. And your straw lately is more like a 2-inch pipe. It's unknown how much water it will produce and for how long. So you need water to make profits. We just need water to live. We can't afford to truck water at $200,000 a week because you take more than your share. Now, the lack of water isn't just due to the drought. We had a drought in 1983. The bog across from the landfill site, it burned all summer long into the winter. We never ran out of water. So what's changed since then, since 1983? Well, we've seen a lot of deforestation. We've seen millions of acres tile drained, so water is now diverted to surface water instead of going into the aquifer. So the recharge has decreased. Now, over the past 5 years, you have consumed way more than your allotment, all the while avoiding the capital charges, by the way. You were assigned 459,130 cubic meters of water a year. That's a lot of water. In 2024, you took 584,597 cubic meters, the difference being 135,467 cubic meters, equivalent to 1,026 homes having water for a whole year. No wonder we ran out of water this year. It's not just the drought. So because you take more than what your allotment, way more, now we, the taxpayers, we have to spend $150,000 out of your 162 levy to pay for a limiter valve and meter to limit the water that you take, just to keep you at your allotment level. So this is what I suggest to you. Teach your employees to conserve and not waste water. Bring technology in to recycle at least half of your water. Don't pay lawyers to appeal our little bit of taxes. Instead, pay lobbyists to get that pipeline to the St. Lawrence River. That's the only answer. From that, we would both benefit with growth and a reliable source of water. So your access to so much water has caused our township undue financial and personal hardships. And I won't agree to any new water allotments while we're still pumping wells. I don't want to see another year like this one. Your demand, has dried up our water supply, and the citizens of this community, they should be rightly angry for what's happened. And not just the citizens. I mean, the businesses, there's small businesses have cut back on their water allotments. Meanwhile, you have only cut back to your allotment. And so you haven't really cut back, because even with many, many requests from our staffs, have you cut back to your original allotment? So I don't know how the people here are going to feel once they, hear all this data on your water consumption.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. There was a lot brought up in here. I will take some of them in terms of and bring them back to the community and the tax to my upper management, and we'll get back to you. There's a couple of points in here that is important to mention. You said that the water that we're going to take is for our profitability and not for our people. That is, so we know how the market of the cheese works, and I'm not here on behalf of Lactalis. I'm here on behalf of Lactalis Winchester. Part of my job is to advocate for Winchester and the town and people and the community, and I always have in the past 10 years. The issue with the volume, we have to stay competitive. So Lactalis, this investment to come to Winchester or to a plant which is 40 minutes away from us, they would benefit, no issue. They will go there, they probably will not see any change. Winchester is the one that who see the big bad impact. We would force be having, unfortunately, take a very good care of, look at the labors. We go from 300 watts to 180 and 110 watts, significant drop. We have to adopt, and also that result in labor layoff, and these are the reality. So eventually we become more expensive and more expensive and more expensive, and the Winchester is not become competitive, not only in the market, but only among all, our own Lactalis people, Ingleside. So Ingleside will take the benefit of this. So Winchester becomes smaller and smaller. One of the reasons that we are here to ask for the water is to stay competitive. If we have an opportunity, this money of $91 million is here for today. We have an opportunity to get 175 units and to get this Winchester to the next level. Otherwise, if we go one level up, my boss sees multiple plants, he will not see even in his budget any difference. Winchester will see the negative impact. So it's not to our benefit in Lactalis Canada. Lactalis Canada will still benefit. because whether they spend here or spend Ingleside, which has a river, which has unlimited water, which they will go there, 40 minutes away, easy, another 40-minute truck. Winchester will have a bad impact in there. And I'm here to advocate for that because we had in 2024 and 2025, 9 million kg. We lost the business into one of our biggest grocery store. 9 million kg was impacted. 6 million of that is coming to Winchester. Only 2 plants can make this cheese, Ingleside and Winchester. 6 million was to us. We went from 240 vats to 180, resulted in 30 position vacancies. People lost it, got laid off. It's a union. This have a massive impact in our Winchester. People will not come in here. Trucks will not come in here. The business will not benefit from here. Our visitor will not come in here. The traffic with Winchester will die out. This is something that I think is into benefit of our Winchester and expansion of the Winchester town to invest in the 175 units into the town. Because not only that we are increasing the milk truck traffic, also just the number of visits, I'll show you a limit, just business around us. We spend close to $200,000 on each of them. That is not us, that is the people on the floor, that is contractors in here, that is, we hire 150 contractors. Every day, the 150 contractors come over here. They shop here, they travel here. So this all will shift away. This is a big miss on behalf of Winchester. I really want to highlight that because Lactalis Canada will still make that money, we still make that volume, but Winchester will be the one who sees a bad impact.
Can I add something?
Yes,
Because
please go ahead, Will.
You made some good recommendations there about investing in reclaim, about lobbying. We are pushing for those as well. We have some of our senior leadership. They are in partnership with some individuals here, pressuring the provincial government. We are also pushing to invest in reclaim technology. The technology is there. It's very expensive. That is a path we also want to do.
Thank you. I'm going to move it on to Councilor. Thank you for your comments, gentlemen.
Yeah, I appreciate what Deputy Mayor did with her research and digging up those numbers. And I also appreciate you two coming here and presenting on behalf of local Lactalis. Winchester's happy to have you. North Dundas is happy to have you. But this partnership we have currently is all taxpayers are scratching your back and our backs aren't getting scratched back. I don't want to see any more lip service. I want to see you flipping desks at Roma in January when we get to sit down with those ministers and say, let's build that pipeline. By giving you 175 units, or what we're doing is only allowing you to operate for a few more years till you need to expand more to be competitive with your other plants. That doesn't work long term. You're both smart, engineering, business, etc. Let's think 20 years. Our tax base needs to grow or our taxes increase. This gentleman to my right has to find money to buy speakers for an arena. We're struggling with these little things because we're stagnant. You have the power to change things. You're a global industry, a leader. Right now, I believe you said you're leading all of Canada in production at 45 million keys.
Correct.
So just doing retail math on that, I don't know what your books are, but retail math is just shy of $1 billion from Winchester plant alone. I appreciate the 180,000 spent locally, but that's less than 1%. And we can compare numbers later if you'd like, but we don't need to. We know you're powerful. We want a strong partnership. I wish Nolan Quinn was here or one of his representatives, but those are the people you have to go to. No more lip service. We want to expand. We want a fruitful partnership with you. Okay? Planting trees, nice, cool. But we have to grow the village and you can grow your business.
And Councillor, we have gone to the government. I mean, the partnership with actually have a few delegates in this room that we have gone together and pushed for that. You know how the obviously government works in terms of that they give you all the, then it comes back when it comes to the reality. And here we are again. That was 2 years ago, and there is no pipeline. I think the estimated cost was at the time $60 million, which is they have to find somewhere. Let that not become an opportunity for a reason for us to miss that opportunity. This opportunity about expansion is here for Winchester, and I want to make sure that that stays in Winchester. That will go away to Ingleside or a different, and that we are at the very risk. That will really increase the opportunity, the expansion for Winchester, even put it in a lower risk. The 40 million that you see today will become less, becomes 35 million, becomes 32 million. That will go lower and lower and lower, and the impact of that will become more expensive. The second per kg and the kg you make is divided by all the costs that you have. So that cheese becomes more expensive in the market. No, we already Ballerstone is one of the best cheese. It's not the cheapest cheese.
I admire your passion for the cheese. I do, but I have to think up here for every taxpayer and the other businesses, including the hospital and the manor and the future Catholic French school. How are we going to build those and expand and bring people in this community? Right now, there's very few houses on stock for sale in North Dundas. When my kids reach an age, if they wish to live here, we have to build. We have to expand our population base or our tax base through growth. We can expand industry, but that doesn't help the tax base as a whole. Now, when you talk about leaving Winchester or threatening staff over the phone about leaving, you heard it over here, $2-point-something million increase in our tax base. Yes, long term, it would hurt if you left, but long term, the tax base succeeds. Do we want you to leave? No, no one's saying that. I know that staff have worked with you and went down several channels. I know there's been permit issues or hitting water mains or sewer line issues. We've worked with you. Again, we're scratching your back. We're not getting a whole hell of a lot back. I do appreciate you coming here and keep working with us and keep pounding the desk. I want to see you at Rona. I want to see the corporate there. We have to champion this, and having private sector with public and showing a partnership, the provincial government eats that up. Let's do it.
Thank you, Councillor. And then we'll go to Councillor Uhrig.
No, I will say I once sat on the other side of this desk as a local reporter, and this is honestly the first time in a decade or more that I can recall, you know, facing the flames, so to speak, from the plant level. So I appreciate that, I do. And I can appreciate the passion with which you speak for the Winchester plan and everything like that. And I mean, I think you've taken enough of a tongue lashing, and I'm not here to do that myself, but it's more of all of this goes away if there's no water to give you. I understand what you're saying in terms of it goes elsewhere if we can't come up with what you're asking for. I understand that, but it all goes away if there's simply no water, right? So that's kind of the end result. I think what my focus more than anything, and it's very similar to Councillor Lennox, is that I look to the future. What's the future going to look like? And I appreciate you coming here and saying, you know, you've looked into that efficiency and what you can do in terms of recycling and that different technology, and that it's out there and it's available. And I think that's, you know, as much as it's in the here and now, and that's what you're talking about, and you're talking about this expansion and stuff like that, I do want to ultimately hear more, I think, about what we can do in terms of the water you currently have and, you know, the runoff and what can be done with it and how it can be recycled and stuff like that. And I think that more than anything, as I appreciate you're not just coming here and, you know, looking past that, you're also acknowledging that that does exist, and that is something you're also, you know, lobbying for. And ideally, that's something that, you know, the management above you realizes and sees and understands that that is something that is, you know, a critical need here. We can't just keep dumping off the water and just, you know, whopping our hands of it, right? So I think, again, you know, thank you, because it's not easy to sit here and take it the way it's been presented, but so thank you for presenting. Thank you for being open to being here to present, and I do hope, to Councillor Lennox's point, that the conversations continue, that this isn't just, you know, the door shuts and that's that. You know, we need to work together. I think it's nice to have a ideally positive corporate partner at the table with us when we kind of reach these levels of government and say, listen, you know, Eastern Ontario does exist. There are jobs here. There is good market here. You know, remember that, you know, the 401 doesn't stop at Oshawa. We do exist here. So, you know, the next time we have to chat with, you know, those members of provincial parliament, you know, maybe they'll get it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. So I think I'll finish it off. I just want to make a few comments. I think everyone knows I've been a long-term employee of Parmalat, Lactalis, Alts. I've worked at all of them over my time. I think the first time I entered the doors, I was probably very early 80s as a student. So it's been a good for me, as many others, and there's others in this room whose families have been supported by the efforts and the employment available at Lactalis. And I just want to touch on a few things, but I'm going to go right to what Councillor Lennox had talked about, the provincial government, Nolan Quinn. I was pretty confident that we were going to see someone from the province, from Mr. Minister Quinn's office here today. And to as the Councillor Uhrig says, the tongue lashing and the focused comments that you've received, and I appreciate your receiving them, and I appreciate that they were spoken. I'm happy that you're here, more than happy. My goal was to have this presentation readied and have representatives of Minister Quinn's office here to hear the struggles, the challenges, because you know we've been working together trying to advocate for money to come our way to support growth of the business, growth of the village, growth of the villages that consume potable water, both Cheshire and Winchester, and the challenges that the two villages face, as well as the challenges that our businesses face that have stopped doing business because there's no water for them to continue doing business. The challenges that have been faced by Lactalis. I wanted this presentation readied, available to the public, as well as to the province. I know I've talked to Madam CAO about this package and how we need to get it to the Minister of Agriculture, Food and Agribusiness. We needed to get it to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Ministry of Rural Affairs. We need to get it to our Minister of College and University, our MPP, Minister Quinn. They all need to understand the challenge that is faced in North Dundas for growth, not just the growth of residential growth, commercial growth, industrial growth, but the growth of our economy, your viability, our viability. It is a shared partnership. I'm thoroughly disappointed that the province did not see fit to have someone attend this when we were talking about the largest cheese manufacturer in Canada. The volume of milk supplied by local dairy farmers, not just in Eastern Ontario, but Western Quebec, and on days, there's many people maybe paying attention, but the people in the room, I know there's some old dairy farmers in the room, I've seen days where milk comes in from Manitoba. When there's issues in the supply chain, I've seen trucks come in from Alberta. I understand it's vital. We need to get that message out there that what Lactalis does is vital to our industry, and our industry is agriculture. We need to be supportive of our agriculture, but we also need to be mindful, as my fellow councillors have talked about, growth and growth of our tax base. A stagnant tax base just goes backwards and it becomes more expensive for the ratepayers. So at the end of, not even at the end of it, so this information that's been provided, the challenges you've expressed, the comments that have been received from our fellow councillors needs to be pushed, and this is the challenge that Madam CAO is going to look after, is getting that information to the province. I want them to understand their lack of response to our demand, our needs, not just your needs, but the needs of the Township of North Dundas have fallen on deaf ears at the provincial level. There's been a gentleman from corporate that has sat in as a member of a delegation supporting the challenge that North Dundas faced, not just Lactalis, but all of North Dundas. You, Mr. Director Navid, you've sat in supporting the challenge that not just Lactalis faces, but all of North Dundas faces with the lack of infrastructure support. That battle continues. I was really going to mind how I say certain things because I don't want to put ourselves as a township in a bind, but when I hear of $82 million being allocated to support camping along the southern part of SDG, and yet we can't find enough money to make sure we have enough water to support residential growth and industrial growth. We have other industries that are looking to move here. We have businesses that want to move here, and they all get the same message that there is no water for growth. And that's not a message just to you. That's a message to everyone that wants to enter North Dundas and start a business. And it is beyond my comprehension how, and this is directed for the province, how they cannot see that residential growth, infrastructure support, industrial growth, job support, job growth is less essential than camping in a public park. But that's what they've delivered, that message to us. So I want this message that I'm delivering to them. I want this information delivered to them. I want the comments from my council delivered to them. Because we are all in this together. I do appreciate the partnership that we've entered into seeking support from the province. That means a great deal to us. But we also need to look at, and I do believe the recycling was mentioned, and I know Mr. Bruning and I have had an opportunity to talk about recycling of water. That would alleviate a lot of the immediate pressure. That might be a stopgap measure to the next step. Your investment in that area would make great changes to the whole dynamic of the water situation here in North Dundas. That would alleviate a lot of pressure, and it's only my opinion. I'm not an engineer. I'm not trained in that at all. It's just how I see things that if there was some recycling, some investment in the recycling, that would be a buffer to a bit of growth, because it would remain the status quo for the water level available, and the increased water that we are going to soon get wouldn't be impaired to such a dramatic effect, but it would allow for opportunity for more investment to your concern. And I know we've talked about this for years, is that investment in recycling. That conversation has been going on for years, and I still hold to waiting to be told how recycling some water back into your own system is not manageable or tenable or even something to be thought of. I'm still waiting for that comment, so I still adhere to that idea that there's an opportunity. And but to not be so, just to wrap it up, I appreciate you being here. I'm sure it was a difficult message to deliver, difficult things to hear, but at the end of the day, we are in this together. We have a shared suffering. Your investment can't go ahead. Our investment can't go ahead. This is an effort that needs to be solved beyond this room, and the province needs to understand that growth for both business and residential is important in North Dundas. Saying that, thank you very much for your presentation. I'm glad the information was provided. I'm glad our councillors had an opportunity to express their thoughts. I know they've been talking about it, this challenge that we've had for the last number of months, and so it's always good to have it brought out and put in front of everyone, so then we know where we stand. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
As we've said, we're going to move the in-camera. We're going to roll right into staff reports, and I look at Director Hewitt to speak about the asset management plan. Just a refresh on that, please, Mr. Director.
Thank you very much, Mayor. The asset management plan for municipalities is something that is regulated, but it's also a very useful document for us in terms of our long-term financial planning, for our budgeting, managing future reserves and that sort. Within the regulation, there are key milestones that need to be hit, for certain years, and that's all laid out. And the latest one was for July 2025. The existing asset management plan that we have for the municipality is not hitting those requirements. And so this is an information report to council just to provide an update that we are aware that this is behind. It does have implications potentially on future grant applications, but also for that long-term financial planning. And so We are working with Watson and Associates, who has been doing some other analysis for the municipality to help us refresh this plan, to get it compliant, and to make it into a document that will be useful for us for future years.
Thank you, Director. Questions, comments from members of council concerning that? I do know I sat in at the SDG Summit recently, and I was talking about some of the challenges that we face in North Dundas, and I was tasked for an answer concerning the asset management plan, so I wouldn't be able to give such a succinct answer as you have, and I'm glad you're able to deliver that. Maybe those people that asked me the questions are paying attention today, and they'll get the answer they're looking for. But it's good to know that we're moving forward and looking to get to where we're at with that. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to Corporate Services Clerk and Director Johnson. The 2026 council meeting schedule. Be it resolved that council adopt the regular meeting schedule for 2026 as presented this 22nd day of October 2025. Ms. Johnson. Oh, did I say moved by Councillor? Moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Lennox.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Every year we have to bring forward the list of meetings that we're going to have for the upcoming year, so that's what I've prepared here. Because it will be an election year next year, some of them are sort of up in flux. I do have the inaugural meeting scheduled for November 18th, and that is the week following the election. I'm also tentatively looking for a council orientation meeting on December the 2nd. That would be a full-day meeting where we would bring in an external trainer to talk about procedure bylaws, codes of conduct, that sort of thing. Below that are my regular meetings. September 9th may have to be changed because that also coincides with Ontario East Conference, but that is being held in Ottawa again. I've confirmed that, so when we get a little bit closer to that date, we can always amend that date if we have to. And then November 4th is also the last meeting of the current council, which, depending on who runs and who gets elected, sometimes that gets canceled, sometimes it doesn't, so those are sort of the iffy things, but otherwise still on Wednesday, still at 4:30.
Questions, comments? I was looking at the OEMC schedule, and I do have some options I'd like to present, but to your point, we will wait until we get closer to that to see what's going on with OEMC truly and understand that that's set in stone. Seeing that, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Move on to the Dundas County Archives, moved by Councillor Lennox, seconded by Councillor Urick. Be it resolved that council accept the termination of the Dundas County Archive partnership with the municipality of South Dundas, that bylaw number 2021-106. Being a bylaw for shared services with the municipality of South Dundas, be approved as amended this 22nd day of October 2025, and that council pre-approve $67,000 in the 2026 municipal budget to finance renovations required to existing municipal buildings to house a North Dundas archive facility. Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My report goes into some extensive details about how we got to where we are today, so I'm just going to focus on the fact that right now we have about 25% of the space that's there, but we're paying 50% of the costs, and it just doesn't feel prudent to us to continue to do that. So what we are looking for council to approve today is for us to terminate the agreement, the shared service agreement we have with South Dundas, and that would require the bylaw being repealed. Ideally, we'd like to have that happen by December 31st. We do have the option to continue it longer, but if we have it by December 31st, we won't be impacting South Dundas's budget or our budget because those amounts have already been paid for. And then I'm asking that what we had in the same budget this year, $67,000, be pre-approved to carry forward to next year's budget so that we can make renovations ourselves. So ideally, what we would like to see happen is the boxes that we have at the archive moved within the next couple of weeks because we have the snowplow operators that will be available before the snow flies to help do that. And then we will store that temporarily in one of our vacant facilities. And then we'll have to work with South Dundas to sort of separate the assets, the shelving and equipment and stuff that was bought. At the board meeting, the last board meeting we had, we all agreed as a board to use any money that was left over to digitize the newspapers. There aren't very many left that have to be done, but there's still some, and they need a special scanner. That then opens it up for each municipality to decide what to do with their newspapers. As things currently stand, there are more newspapers there than actual municipal files that belong to North Dundas. They take up a lot of room, so for now, we are looking to move everything, the files, the newspapers, everything, and then once we have an archive facility, we'll have to sort of decide what we can keep and what we can't keep based on space, because they do take up a lot of room, but that wasn't a decision we were looking to make today. Today, we're just, would you allow us to get out of the current agreement, and are you agreeable with money being pre-approved now so that we can move forward with making renovations that have to be done for the archive to be secured in North Dundas with North Dundas materials?
Thank you. Questions, comments? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, I had a call from a township member yesterday. The question was, who is going to be the archivist to be employed? I think he assumed that there was a full-time archivist in South Dundas, and he wanted to know if there would be one here, and if that would cost more than the $67,000. He also had a concern about disposing of the hard copies. You know, me being an older person, I always like to see something in a hard copy, because I know digital could be lost. And so you've kind of answered that part of the question in saying it depends on how much space we have. But do you have an answer to the first one about the archivist?
Partially, yes. The archivist that is in South Dundas is only part-time, and we split the wages 50-50.
Okay.
So we haven't actually gotten to that point yet. In all honesty, we make very few requests to the archives for her to research anything for us. I'd be surprised if a dozen requests are made annually by North Dundas for things to look up. So what our plan going forward is that if anybody has anything, we could either try ourselves, as staff, to go over and look through some of the boxes, or try to find a part-time archivist once we get up and running. But again, those are questions that are so far down the road. At this stage, we're not even sure where we're going to be at yet.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think his concern was that, for instance, if he could go to a building, if he had a question, not the fact that the township is asking the archivist to look for something. I don't know if I don't even know if that's a service they offer in South Dundas. Do you understand what I mean? Like a member of the public going in and
Yes.
saying, can you look this up for me?
And they can do that in South Dundas. The archivist does do that. She arranges for appointments, and they can go see that.
Okay.
That's part of the equation. We haven't got that far yet. Right now, we're just trying to limit the expense to the township, because it just wasn't prudent for us to continue to pay for maintenance fees and upkeep on another municipal building, and then pay for maintenance and upkeep on our own municipal building that's empty.
Right.
So
Okay.
this was the first step in a very long process to secure an archive for us and then figure out how it's going to be staffed.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Councillor Urick and then Councillor Lennox.
No, thank you for this. I think with the benefit of hindsight, we're all perhaps now recognizing that this was not the most beneficial arrangement for us to create a county archive network. I think it may be, it was a North Dundas administrative, and when I say administrative, I mean the council of the day was perhaps an idea, and perhaps a singular individual was leading the charge who has now perhaps padded a resume to get elsewhere. But beyond that, we're now sitting on the hook of decisions made. We've got $67,000 of taxpayer money going to a different municipality. We're not seeing the value for that those dollars. To your point, Madam Clerk, this is a big conversation that's going to take place over multiple years. This is not we decide today, newspapers go in a dumpster tomorrow. The fact that those assumptions have circulated, ridiculous. The emails, the phone calls, the messages, insane. That anybody thinks that that is the process. We've got some members of the public here today that have a passion for local history, and you need to understand that you are going to be involved in this. This is not 5 members of council saying, here's what we're doing, and we're just going to throw history away. So please understand that. And I gave 10 years of my life to a local newspaper, so I'm not going to just let them be a cold day in hell before those newspapers get thrown out. So that's my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, for your thoughts. Councillor Lennox.
Yeah, I completely agree with Councillor Urick here. We got to do this right. To appease those interested in history, I'm, unlike Deputy Mayor, if it's not on Google, it doesn't exist. But looking at this, it's signing us up to hire somebody. So we have to account for that. I want to see a plan and going forward so we do this right when we commit to it and everything else, and things which have to be stored in climate controlled settings or etc. I'm assuming that's part of the upgrades. Yeah, it's got to do it right. I did receive a phone call yesterday from an individual out my way. They're concerned about storage. I don't want it to look like what the back room used to look like here at the township. I'm sure everyone has been lost in there at some point or wearing a box on their foot coming out. This has to be treated with respect, especially those historical records. I'm in favor of this. I don't see why we should be paying another township to store 25% of our things and paying literally 50%. So, yep.
Thank you for your comment. And just for everyone's benefit, I guess, I'm involved in that whole equation. I was on council when that all took place, and and we have a member of the public way at the back that is part of the Dundas County Archives, or the former Dundas County Archives, part of the board. Right. And so Ms. Scott in the back. And she had the unfortunate opportunity to sit there and be caught off guard whenever the decision was made. And so we've had some light conversation about our plans, and there was lots of opportunity for members of from South Dundas, as well as from North Dundas, to voice our concern that the intent of maintaining our history and archival materials remains. It remains in the same fashion. It's just a separation of the physical. The spirit is still there, that we need to ensure that the things that are important to our culture and our history are maintained in the best fashion that we can manage. And I do understand digitization, and some would say, what happens if there's a fire? Then I would counter, some would say, what happens if something happens to the computer system or the cloud and all that digitized is lost? And I counter with, if there's a fire or water damage, all of the hard copy is lost. There's no good answer, but we need to work towards an answer that's, that fits us and us as a community, because it's taxpayer dollars we're talking about. Some of the things that Madam Clerk spoke about, and I was all part of this conversation, so I'll give some more of my take on the background of it. We have a building. We have buildings in North Dundas. We have a building in North Dundas that needs investment in it, but my feeling on it is we need to maximize the space, or fill the space, to make that building more viable, so that members of the public, when the taxes are discussed and investment into a building is discussed to maintain the cultural heritage of our area is discussed, that they understand that, well, the building is being used, the public are using it. It is an important building. It's just not an empty space. And we're not just maintaining an empty space for the sake of maintaining an empty space. We need to look at this $67,000, which that is mentioned in the financial analysis, And I too received a phone call, and the person, I guess maybe Facebook didn't define it clearly enough for them, that they thought there was going to be a savings. This is not about a savings of dollars. This is about an efficient use of dollars and an efficient investment of dollars in a building in North Dundas. An efficient investment in the archival materials and historic items in North Dundas. So please, anyone that's paying attention in the public, this amount that we've been spending to maintain our share of the Dundas County Archives, that will continue and increase, as everything does increase if it continues. Our history is important. Councillor Lennox talks about he sees that someone's going to be hired. I don't dispute that. Money will be spent to ensure that our history is maintained. I think this is a good move. I think it will appease many more than those that are dissatisfied, because I do believe this is a silent majority that feels that having the history of North Dundas and the materials of North Dundas stored in North Dundas only makes sense. I do appreciate that there's some members from a historical society here today to hear this conversation. I look forward to future conversations with them, because this really does piggyback onto many of the things that are a passion to them, and I look forward to more conversations, and to Councillor Urig's thought about how the timeline is not today and tomorrow timeline. This is a timeline. There's a bunch of balls in the air to make this happen, as you can imagine. Trying to move buildings and materials into a space, you need to make sure that the space is readied and other spaces are readied. There's a lot of moving parts in this. I trust that staff are going to have a lot of work in front of them, a lot of hard work in front of them, and a lot of pressure in front of them from some of us on council to keep that momentum going. But this is an important thing in my mind for the Township of North Dundas. It's an important thing for the municipality of South Dundas, that they're able to manage their history in a fashion that fits them the best, as we want to manage our history in a fashion that fits us the best. So I hope that answers some of the questions out there, but please, those with questions, feel free to contact us, contact me, contact the Deputy Mayor as you have, or Councillor Lennox, or Councillor Urig, or even Councillor Annabelle, who's away on a holiday. Contact them for better information. Don't rely on Facebook for the information that will upset you, because that's not the goal of Facebook. It's not going to make it easier for you to understand what's going on, but we will do everything we can to make sure that the questions that you have are answered. Saying all that, the question has been asked. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. We're going to move on to RFP, SDG 2025-01, supply of telephone and interneting voting system. Moved by Councillor Urig, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bergeron. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-25, being a bylaw permitting the Township of North Dundas to enter into an agreement with VOTAS for the supply of telephone and internet voting system for the 2026 election, be passed and enacted this 22nd day of October 2025. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We went in a joint tender in July with all the lower tiers in SDNG and the City of Cornwall. We had 3 responses, and we all unanimously picked votes. So we would like to enter into that agreement. They will be supplying the telephone and internet services for us, and the voters' letters and the touch screens when you come in to vote. So they're going to be the back end of that. I do have the agreement. It is confidential, so it has not been attached to the bylaw, but if any of you would like to come and see me in my office, you can view it there.
Thank you. Question? I guess there's no questions, comments, really? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Budget amendment referring to Burns Way, moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Lennox. Be it resolved that Council authorize budget amendment number 2025-13 in the amount of $6,600.00 to cover the cost of ceremonial signs for Burns Way this 22nd day of October 2025. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We already had a ceremony for this, and the signs are already up, and my understanding is they were well received. This is just a formality to transfer the funds to pay for the signs from reserves into the proper account for the invoice.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. We're going to move on to Development Services, Economic Development, Local Business Expo. Mr. Mann.
Good evening, Council. The Local Business Expo, it's on, has been running for many years now, since 2017. Aside from a few years during COVID, when it was canceled, we had some online events. But it's been an ongoing concern and one of the keystone economic development events we host throughout the year. Every year we have partnered with the North Dundas Chamber of Commerce. They've helped us with the planning, the organizing, the promoting, and the selling of the booths every year. I have also attached a copy of the most recent budget from this year in 2025. Shows our revenues we pulled in, as well as our various expenses, and an in-kind allotment for my services, as well as the recreational department's services, in getting the event off the ground and running it every year. Just to illustrate the fact that it isn't a money-making event, it is a service to the community and to support the local businesses. As if we were to essentially factor those in-kind expenses in, it does wipe out any sort of positive balances that we have for the event. But that's not the intent of the event. It's just for illustrative purposes. And given the magnitude the event has grown to year over year, we had over 2,000 people come to the event this year during the 9 to 3 hours of the expo. It's deemed prudent to bring the business exhibitor information kit. It's essentially the T's and C's, the rules and conditions that run the event. We're getting upwards of 100 vendors now at the expo. And over the years, there's been a number of suggestions, and as well as this current year, on ways to improve the expo, ways to sort of tighten up the T's and C's, so things are more in writing explicitly to help govern the event, any sort of questions and the comings and goings of exhibitors at the event. There were a number of improvements to the, I can call it the terms and conditions, which you'll see in the attached document. One of particular concern that I wanted to bring to Council's attention tonight is highlighted in the report here. So if exhibitors, for example, who have registered for a booth, if they're unable to come for whatever reason, there's personal reasons that come up, or scheduling reasons that can't come up. If they can't come, whether they actually show up and they have to leave, can they actually assign their booths to another business at the event, say move from upstairs to downstairs, for example, or bring in someone from outside the event that's not actually already registered to be an exhibitor. Should they be permitted to do that? I obviously have to notify myself before the start of the event. After the event gets going, obviously this couldn't be a thing. But leading up to the event, at least, if that's a possibility, we want to allow those who have already bought a booth to do. So I'll just pause for a second and get feedback on that particular.
Okay, thank you. Go for that pause. I saw Councillor Lennox. He's quicker than Deputy Mayor.
Absolutely, but I would like to see final approval by you to avoid any weirdness happening.
Right, fair enough.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, that was my comment also, because I've been to many of these events in my lifetime. And when something happens where you can't make your booth, it's usually has to be approved by the organizer. Mm-hmm. But then I see your timeline is like 8:30 in the morning, same day. I don't know if that timeline would have to be changed, because that's pretty last minute if it's the same day of the event.
Thank you. Councillor Urick?
Yeah, just on that one, I think maybe 24 hours before would be better.
Yeah.
And excuse me, my thought on it is, I think I'm in alignment, that it needs to go through you, needs to be approved by you. But I also, the 24 hours, yes, I understand 8:30 is very short notice. 24 hours is more reasonable. Maybe not reasonable enough, but more reasonable than 8:30 a.m. But I think of someone that gets a call at the last minute or within the last 24 hours saying the space is opened, they have to do some rearranging. So is there a fee or a reduction in cost, or is there a benefit to receiving such short notice? Do we hold back some of the money from the initial applicant and say, you know, because of short notice, if we don't fill the space, then we suffer a loss? So do we claw back or keep some of that money as because they've committed and we've committed to providing the space?
Yeah.
And then bonus or lower the cost to that person that's receiving notice 24 hours in advance, where they may have to juggle staff, call in staff, do certain things. I just have some some concerns about those that receive short notice, some of the challenges, the financial challenges they may face, but we do need that space filled.
Yes, yeah. So essentially, if the space were to remain vacant, it would get turned into, as we did this year for one particular booth, just into seating areas, right? People gather the food, they can mingle around, and it's a place to relax as a last case sort of scenario. This particular scenario really only comes up if a business that doesn't want to come or can't come, they already have a business in mind who they've already been chatting to. So it's not as if I would be going out and trying to hunt down some random business to fill its spot. They already have someone in mind for that, assuming obviously it's not going to conflict with anyone else at the event. Usually they already have someone in mind, so it's never much of an issue. And that new particular business would be subject to any sort of additional fees. So for example, if they're upstairs and the business is downstairs and they want to move them to downstairs, there's an additional fee for that because they're more expensive booths. So the business moving down would have to pay that full amount, right?
Okay. And I'd rather not see the empty space, because I think that those that were eager to participate that weren't able to because there wasn't space at the time may be upset if they found out the space they would have occupied all of a sudden becomes empty space. And I'd rather not see the empty space myself.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, so then I'll just request that council provide any sort of feedback on the rest of the document to myself by October 31st, as I plan on bringing an action request to council for the next council meeting to set in stone these terms and conditions to be used going forth at future expos in the years to come.
Great. This is one of the highlights of the spring is the Business Expo. It's well attended by lots of people from across North Dundas and beyond. It's gained notoriety in North Grenville, South Dundas, North Stormont, and South Stormont that this is the expo to attend. And it's well organized, and kudos to you and everyone that gives you a hand in making sure that happens. And then we're going to look at the Director Poll and the street naming.
Thank you, Mayor Fraser, members of council. Street names and subdivisions, lots of fun. We've gone around every single corner on this one through the many years. We've had new subdivisions, how streets are named in this municipality. Typically, it's this developer would come forward with a name as proposed for this situation. Other times when they've run out of names, we've done a contest for the school community to put forth names. We've also looked at the history of properties too and see who was the first owner, or is there a significant individual in that particular area of the municipality that a road could be named after. So there's been a variety of ways and means that we've named roads. I did make an error in the report. I said there's 7 new subdivisions. There's actually 8 new subdivisions. I forgot the one in Mountain that Jason White is putting together. That'll also need a street name. So we're looking at 15 street names in the next year and a half we're going to have to come up with for these subdivisions. So one of my recommendations coming forward would also be if council has names that they think should be considered, maybe we strike a committee or we put forth names that we can give to developers to say, here's some suggested names in particular areas of the municipality, because you could have a situation, let's say in Hallville, you want to recognize one individual, another individual in Winchester, which we've done with the Burns sign recently, where we want to recognize people or individuals of significance and name a street after them. So it might be a situation where we could get some names that we could recommend to developers in particular areas where we feel that's an important name to put forward, or a street that we want to name after. There's other areas in municipalities where they just go, these are the street numbers and we're going to go by number, and Calgary's all Fourth Avenue, Fifth Avenue, or they have certain areas that are all Gs or all Hs. You know, all the names start with H, and so you know where you are in the city. So there's a variety of ideas that can come forward. We haven't never done that kind of extreme. Here we've basically used a variety of names for streets. But because we have 15 coming forward, it may be something council wants to consider. Is there certain names? I know some council members have approached me before. We want to recognize some of these individuals in the municipality. So to have those names available for developers, and if they want to use those, that might be something they can go forward with. So each subdivision, it's final, council's the final approval authority for names. So that's why I'm bringing this forward, that we have that many coming forward. Do we want to consider different names?
Thank you. Questions, comments? Councillor Lennox?
Oh, I think this is an opportunity, like you said, to have fun. 15 potential names, you know, we can divide it up, you know, 3 sets of 5. One of the 15 I would really like to see is maybe a township type lottery where someone pulls a name out of the hat and now we have Pull Way or etc. But yes, we'll approach you.
Thank you for your comment, Councillor. It's been appreciated. No, and in light of the earlier conversation that we were having tonight about the historic and having members of the CDHS who, it's unfortunate they've left the building, but I also think maybe maybe we need to lean on them that can give us a historic perspective, or maybe not strictly the CDHS, but people that have historic knowledge of the area where these subdivisions are going, so maybe they could support some of the thoughts as well. I think there's opportunity to spread that out, and the councillor talks about a North Dundas-wide lottery, if you would, of an opportunity to name a street, but I think there's other opportunities as well besides that. Anyone else? Deputy Mayor.
How about announcing that on our media page of the township to ask people to come forward with names? Because, I mean, not too many people listen to this meeting, so they may not know that this is going on. Don't give me that look. You know hardly anyone looks at this meeting. And so just to put it on the website.
I appreciate your comment. This is a fresh idea, but that thought, we definitely will use our communications officer to spread the message to those few that aren't paying attention to our meeting. We'll make sure that they're captured too as well, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Urick.
No, I think I guess in an amalgamation of Councillor Lennox's idea, the Deputy Mayor's idea, it's an opportunity to have fun. And it is an opportunity to, you know, if the developers of these sites aren't interested in names or don't have names in mind, and we don't want to be too boring in terms of 4th, 5th, 6th, like that's pretty boring. We do maybe open it up to the public, open it up to the schools in the area, see what the kids come up with. I don't know, you know, there is an opportunity here. So I think I like that, and it's, you know, there's already been some serious business discussed here tonight, so it's nice to have a little bit of levity as we talk about how we name some streets in the township, so.
Thank you, Councillor. So I guess at the end of the day, Director Paul, we are open to the idea of fresh ideas to look at naming streets and embracing young people and adults as well in this opportunity. Thank you. If there's nothing further, we're going to move on to Fire. Chief Raystrick, Fire Services 2025 second and third quarter update.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. So in this update, it's a very basic update. Usually we put this in consent agenda, but one of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention was the increase, 60% increase in motor vehicle collisions that we've had in the second and third quarter. One of those things is to lead into my next portion of the meeting. So just wanted to bring that to your attention if you have any questions regarding the activities.
Questions, comments about the second, third quarter update? I think you can move right into how that piggybacks onto this.
Okay, so
Oh,
thank you.
Amendment to bylaw number 2021, I was getting too lighthearted. Number 2021-45, fees and charges, moved by Councillor Lennox, seconded by Councillor Urick. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2024, being a bylaw to establish fees for certain licenses, permits, certificates, and various services, be approved as amended this 22nd day of October 2025. Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So yes, as we know, MVCs have increased. This amendment will allow NDFS to collect and recover costs associated with MVCs. This practice is quite common amongst municipalities across Ontario and is in use in virtually all urban centers and is definitely increasing in the rural areas. A local municipality that I have spoken with and really, gotten to be familiar with how they do it, collected almost $120,000 in 2024 from this. So I think this is definitely a path that would be beneficial for the municipality.
Questions, comments, members of council? Councillor Lennox.
Yeah, thank you for doing the research and networking to bring this all together. I do agree it's a good move forward, and I didn't see it here when it was scrolling, but my assumption is the insurance company pays, or is it the?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, no, we bill the individual, and the individual recoups the cost from their insurance company.
Okay.
That way that covers us for uninsured persons as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Anything further? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. I have in front of me the fire services update on the fleet. Is there a presentation to that?
Yeah.
Please go ahead with that.
Okay. So this presentation basically is just to discuss the moving forward with the 2025 key information report that was presented earlier for the replacement of Pump 1. We're moving forward with that purchase. However, we did have a recent incident where we have a fire service apparatus that was damaged and is no longer usable for service. I have presented a few options to council, and if you have input, you can obviously give guidance on that input for the availability for purchasing. At this time, staff is definitely looking at option 4, which is to purchase a used tanker or a pump tank from another fire service at a cost, and the availability to be determined. We are working very closely, admittedly right now, with City of Ottawa. They have some surplus units that are coming up, and there's definitely 1 or 2 that would fill the gap that we have, and the availability is quite soon, and the pricing is looking to be quite attractive. And with the water shortage that we're experiencing, it is we're in a difficult position to be down 1 tanker right now.
Thank you. Questions, comments, members of council? I'm going to put my hand up quickly. I'm really interested in the option of one, be it out of the City of Ottawa, but one that I'm guessing would meet a lot of the NFPA compliance requirements, which is becoming more and more an issue for, I guess it says it right there, the 4th option, maybe the most financially feasible. I think we need to go to there. We have lots of, a long-standing relationship with the City of Ottawa, and I have faith, and if they advise that this unit would be suitable for use in North Dundas, I would wholeheartedly support their contention. As I said, this is a long-standing relationship with the City of Ottawa, and if we're able to do that, I would be very supportive. I think Councillor Lennox wants to go.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Mayor, and as well, Chief Raystrick said it best when the options coming out of City of Ottawa look attractive with their surplus units, so I'm in support of that as well.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Urick?
I mean, really just echoing what's already been said, but I think in terms of just an immediate option that seems the best fit. I know you've struck up, to the mayor's point, there's always been a good relationship there, but I know yourself and the fire chief in the City of Ottawa have quite a good relationship as well. So I think just in terms of the immediacy and knowing we are down a piece of equipment, a critical piece of equipment, it's a good option going forward right now. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I look to the Deputy Mayor.
No, I agree.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We're going to move on to Environmental Services Director Ward, bylaw number 2025-26. Product Care Association of Canada, moved by Councillor Urick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bergeron. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-26, being a bylaw to enter into an updated agreement with the Product Care Association of Canada for the collection and post-collection services for the hazardous and special products materials specified within the agreement, be passed and enacted this 22nd day of October 2025. Director Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. So first report this evening just talks about an updated agreement with Product Care. So as Council will recall, Product Care is one of the organizations that looks after the recycling of hazardous waste for us. So as Council is aware, we take hazardous waste from North Dundas, South Dundas, and North Stormont. So this agreement is updated to reflect that, updated to reflect our current hours, and then also you'll see an increase to the amount of money that we receive, and that's just based on the annual CPI increase that's within the agreement. There's no other changes other than those identified.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Bylaw number 2025-71, 2026 water and sewer rates, moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, second by Councillor Lennox. Be resolved that bylaw number 2025-71, being a bylaw for fixing rates for the supply of water/sewer services beginning January 1st, 2026, be passed and enacted this 22nd day of October 2025. Madam Director.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is a little bit of a more complicated report, and being that I'm presenting two options again to Council for consideration tonight. So Council will recall that there's two options that were presented originally as part of the rate study, and at the last meeting you decided to go with option number one. So option number one is what is being recommended tonight. However, as part of the discussion at the last Council meeting, the Deputy Mayor brought forward a concept that we could take a portion of the capital connection charges, which we spoke briefly about earlier this evening, which are about $17,000 for water and about $10,000 for sewer. And we could take a portion of those charges and actually allocate them to the rate and the infrastructure, the constant rate. So there's two rates. There's a consumption rate and then just a flat fee that all consumers pay. So if we did that, we would look at increasing those amounts under that option by an additional 6% on top of the original increase. And just to draw Council's attention to that, that is noted. If you go to the very last, keep going. Yes, so this table with the yellow and the green kind of looks at all of those options. So you have your 2025 rates, which is current, your 2026 without, so that is just option one, without the capital, and then the green is the alternative option that the Deputy Mayor identified at the last meeting. So overall, you'll see there's a $101 increase if you were using 141 cubic meters with that capital, whereas if without capital, it would just be a $47.82 increase. Ultimately, if Council chooses to allocate some capital to the rates, this is what the new rate would look like for capital charges. So like I said, 17,000 would come down to 13,000, 10,000 would come down to 6. Comparatively, our lower tier municipalities and SCG all charge the almost exact same rate of $5,000. So these would be closer to those development fees for connection. Other than that, I'm open to questions and comments from Council regarding the two options presented tonight.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Okay. Well, I think it's obvious that I go for option two. The difference in the first year is like $53 and some cents. That's the only difference for a whole year's amount of water and sewer for the first year. I did calculate it all for the 9 years because the first year looks like a huge jump because this is where you do the 6%. Mm-hmm. But after that, if you look, the amounts only go up by 2 or 3 cents each. And so by 2034, the amount is less than $200 per year after 9 years for the total that people have to pay for water and sewer. And considering that this would really lessen the initial debt, by almost $4 million actually, right? From the 21 million it would go down about $4 million. Anyways, it reduces your debt. And also it makes the connection fees more competitive with our surrounding townships.
Further questions, comments? Councillor Lennings.
Yeah, this is kind of new. I do like how the deputy mayor brought this up, and I'm assuming she bothered you in your office a bunch and you crunched these numbers. But lowering the total debt, that to me, that's a very attractive option. Yeah, I'm kind of torn between which option.
So, Mayor, if I may just provide some clarity.
Yes,
so
please.
So just through council, it wouldn't reduce the overall debt, right? So we would still have that debt borrowing that's required from IO. It could expedite the rate of payment that we pay that loan back should council choose to do that with the funds. So you are correct. We would be recouping the capital charges faster because there's a portion on the rate. And then if that's something council wishes to do, so if the reserve builds up faster and you wish to pay off some debt, we could look at some of the IO terms with the Director of Finance and see if that is an option, but it will not reduce your overall debt at this time.
Oh, that changes everything then. No, I'm good with option 2, with it going to the reserves and then having creative options to pay down debt should that be chosen by future councils.
Thank you. Councillor Urick, your thoughts?
Yeah, I am in favor of option 2 as well with my fellow council members here. And I will say that I realize that this perhaps strikes the director as a challenge moving forward. And I realize it's not the recommended option. However, I do think, long term, that is, in terms of the debt repayment and stuff like that, I do think seeing what we're taking on in order to get our infrastructure into a position in which it needs to be, that is a more suitable choice in my mind. And I will say too that I think as well, any member of the public's watching, although according to the deputy mayor, nobody's watching, so whatever. I think this year is a paramount year for anybody paying attention that, in a home or in a business or in an industry, if you're able to, you can limit your water consumption. And I understand that the numbers are jarring in some cases, and anybody seeing, oh, my bills are going to go up, this, whatever, right? It is an option, and I think that's a conversation I think lost to the general population when we talk about the infrastructure needs and what we need to do in terms of upgrading and everything like that. The status quo isn't an option anymore, and I mean we kind of said that tonight when Lactala sat here and said we need this. Well, the status quo is not an option anymore, and just like it's not an option anymore at the plant, or seemingly not an option anymore at the plant for them to continue the ways with which things have been done, it should not be. The status quo should no longer be an option, if feasible, in your own home. So yes, the numbers are jarring, but this is the nature of the beast in terms of getting our infrastructure into a position with which it needs to be. So regardless of what option ultimately goes forward here, I think it needs to be known by the general public that conservation is possible and it should be considered no matter what these numbers are going forward over the next 8 years or whatever we're forecasting out at. Thank you.
Well, you've had, no? Do you have another question? Just one short. Question? Your final comment on this, Madam Deputy Mayor?
No, just to encourage everybody, if you remember the graph from the last meeting where our water rates were very, very low. That's why I had it brought forward at the last meeting where our rates in North Dundas are very low compared to that chart which went all the way up here. And so even though it's going up 6%, it's still less than half of what most people pay around us.
Thank you. And to your point on that, I know I think I differ than the balance of council on this, but to your point, Deputy Mayor, quite often we use comparables of our neighbors whenever we establish wages, purchases, and how we can manage manage the taxpayers' dollars. I do understand that comparables should work both ways. So I think I'm going to look at Madam Clerk and say I'm just going to roll right to be it resolved that Appendix A. And mover, I'm going to say, are the same, Deputy Mayor, moved by, seconded by Councillor Lennox. Be resolved that Appendix A in bylaw number 2025-71 be replaced with an Appendix A that supports option 2 as presented. Okay. Moved by the Deputy Mayor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Lennox. The green one? We are going to vote on that. I am reading the first red one. I haven't. All those in favor? That's where I was getting to. That was my next words. Moved by second by Councillor Lennox. Any questions, comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Good? Good. And we're going to move to 75C. Yes, ma'am. Be it moved by the original motion. Be resolved that bylaw number 2025 with an Appendix A that supports option 2 as presented, being a bylaw for fixing rates for the supply of water sewer services beginning January 1st, 2026, be passed and enacted this 22nd day of October, and that's moved by Councillor Lennox and Councillor Urick. All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. That's all I got for that. 75C. Water conservation measures and water system demand update, moved by Councillor Lennox, seconded by Councillor Urick. Be it resolved that Council approve up to $20,000 for staff to complete a pilot exercise for the trucking of water for a week to gather important information to address the potential for longer-term water trucking arrangements if the drought situation in North Dundas continues. Director Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. So as council's aware, the township continues to experience critical low water levels in our wells. So for the audience that may be listening, North Dundas relies on 8 drinking water wells, and they're all groundwater wells. There is a series of those wells that is an esker feature, which is heavily reliant on precipitation, which I'm sure the general population is aware we have received less than 80%. We're down 20%. That didn't make any sense. I apologize. The 80% reduction in precipitation this year. So we've only gotten about 20% of what we would normally get. That being said, we are looking, and I have provided some information for council to digest, as well as for the public to understand better why we're in this situation. So one of the reasons why I am coming to council to request the $20,000 to begin the pilot in trucking is because Wellfield 7, which is an esker formation, it has A, B, and C wells, and those wells are our primary producers. So they produce about 1,000 cubic meters a day, which is feeding Winchester directly. Without these wells, we won't have enough water to sustain the activities that are going on in North Dundas. That being said, if Emily could scroll down so the public could see further, there are some conservation efforts and partnerships we do have in place, which have been beneficial to the township to get us to this point. So as council's aware, we've kind of been experiencing this drought since July, and we're now in October. So there are some efforts that have been going on and that continue to go on to get us further throughout the year without having to truck water. But that being said, we are still in a critical situation, and we want to explore this pilot project to further determine if it's something that we can even continue to do, if we can truck water to supply the needs of North Dundas. One of the other items to highlight is, as council is aware, Wellfield 8 sits just on Lafleur Road. We've made a significant investment there of around $10 million. That Wellfield is currently on track, on budget, and actually a little bit ahead of schedule. So we've been working very closely with our partners, Aqua, JL Richards, Louis Bray, and the province to bring that well online ahead of schedule. It's currently about 4.5 meters above the well production screen because we do have probes in there that monitor the water level. So that is positive news compared to the 0.5 meters we're seeing in Wellfield 7. So Wellfield 8 is also an esker formation well. However, we haven't pumped it obviously all year long because we haven't had it online. So the idea is hopefully we can bring that well online shortly, and then if Wellfield 7 is at a critical level or can no longer produce, Wellfield 8 will supply what Wellfield 7 is currently supplying. So Wellfield 7 is about 17 liters per second, and Wellfield 8 is set to produce 20 liters per second. That is good news. However, we still would like to continue with this pilot project adventure in case there are any delays with Wellfield 8 or if there's any significant other challenges. That being said, if we don't receive precipitation and frost sets into the ground, we will then not have any recharge until spring freshet, which if we don't have significant snowpack and we don't receive any precipitation all winter long, will be another issue when it comes spring, because we do heavily rely on spring freshet to replenish those wells, because that's how they receive their water. So being said, this request, we've also done some, going back, we have done some maintenance on Wellfield 6 as well, preemptively, and that will increase the level until Wellfield 8 comes online. That's our hope, is 6 will continue producing while 7 is still not producing enough. And then moving to the bigger ask, and this is the harder conversation to have with council. So although the pilot project ask is $20,000 to truck water in for a week, the larger thing that we need to look at for the future is funding the estimated weekly cost of replacing Wellfield 7. So council is aware, and we've had this conversation, it's about $203,000 a week to bring water in for Wellfield 7. We do have, and I checked our reserve balance, which we could utilize for this should it come to fruition, is about 2.5 million minus the 370,000 for the meter project and the 47,000 that we spent for the rehab at Wellfield 6 to get it to produce more while 7 is not doing well. So that is obviously a large amount of money that council would have to invest on a weekly basis. And at this point, we wouldn't know for how long that would be required. So the hope is, like I said, the positive is that Wellfield 8 will come online and help us through the winter until spring freshet. But if not, or if something else were to occur, this is a number that we would have to be seriously considering, and obviously staff would bring a report back to council at that time to let you know what that reality looks like. Moving forward, and I'm sure if you want to speak to the CAO, but there are quite a few future considerations that we are doing moving forward, and a lot of them you already spoke to earlier this evening about delegations with the province to get them to understand the impact that drought has in North Dundas and has to its residents and its businesses and the ability to grow. So we're just looking for council's direction tonight. If you would be okay with us starting that pilot project, it would help us learn the ins and outs of how that would work. We've never had to truck water to North Dundas before, but getting a better understanding of how long it takes a truck to fill, how long it takes it to off-fill, how long it takes us to get here. That's valuable information if we do need to truck water to supply the rest of the town's demand, because then we know how long everything takes to fill. So looking for direction, and of course that 20,000 would come out of the reserve that I had previously mentioned.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Lennox.
Thank you for the update, Director Ward. Yeah, this is serious, and I support it. I'll get out the door here fast and say yes. I think it's vital to learn what is needed in the event that trucking water here is required to support the hospital, manor, etc. Also, I'm going to touch on communication. We're going to have to up that, Madam CAO. I logged into social media first time couple weeks, and I was seeing a bunch of questions of, is the water ban still on? It's almost a daily reminder. We're going to have to post and maybe have our communications person deep dive into those troll groups to say, yes, it's still on. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Lennox. Councillor Uhrig.
I've been called worse. First of all, I can't help but laugh at the irony of the fact that the lack of rain has allowed crews and the availability of crews to be on site and get this well online faster. That the irony there is astounding. However, be that as it is, I am in favor of the pilot exercise. I do think that this is obviously a serious matter, and to the Councillor Lennox's point about communication, I do think that is important because I do, there's a large percentage of armchair experts in our municipality that just seem to think I'll do what I want and can do what I want. And I will say that the future considerations, I do appreciate seeing those as well. And I think it is a matter, I do enjoy that second bullet point, the climate resilience planning, including an overhaul of the water bylaw, because that, as obvious as it has been since about July that we are in a issue here, I mean, the number of folks I've seen watering their cars, cleaning their cars, watering their lawns, just asinine, completely asinine that anybody would think that that was okay and or get mad about it and think that this is just an endless tap it's insane. So I am in favor, as I said, of the pilot exercise. I would like to get, kind of that data to see just in terms of how we move forward here. But I do think, it's the future considerations that we really have to lean into here as well, because there are some serious ones there to enact. And I mean, again, water being the flavor of this meeting, obviously, it's a serious matter, and I hope that anybody that is listening, watching, whatever, does pay some attention.
Thank you, Councillor Uhrig. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so first of all, it's not just the drought that has caused this lack of water. I already mentioned previously that Lactalis' overuse of water could have provided 1,026 homes with 1 year of water supply. And so it really upsets me that we, the taxpayers, would be on the hook for $203,000 a week should we run out of water long term. I actually think Lactalis should be funding that because they're the ones who use 135,000, whatever it was, cubic meters extra of water. I do agree, though, that we do the $20,000 project just to see how it works. But I would be really upset if ever it got to that we would be stuck paying that $203,000 a week when it was Lactalis who took over a mass amount of water that they weren't allowed. That has brought us into this position.
Thank you for your comment. Yeah, no, we need to do this. We need to find out how much this is going to cost and the challenges and the time. And I think look at Councillor Lennox and the fire chief, and we went through this process with just hauling water and dumping water, and not for potable water, but just managing water. It is a challenge, and it's good to have the information at hand about how long it takes. Again, this, as you mentioned, we talked about at this end of the room about the delegations and needing to have the province understand that whenever a municipality starts considering hauling water in, ensure that the municipal users of the water, the users of municipal water, will have something in the tap when they turn it on. And it's unfortunate that they don't see that as an emergency, but making sure that the same thing happens in parks along the St. Lawrence Seaway, that they can turn taps on and have good water. Whereas residents and taxpayers in North Dundas, water consumers in North Dundas, may face this enormous effort of finding enough finances to ensure that we can have water. And to Councillor Uhrig's thought on the second bullet, climate resilience, throughout the summer, I've bumped into people that are astounded that people actually water their lawns during a drought, but not just during a drought, but they water their lawns with no consideration of the challenges that in North Dundas we face over years. We've known that we've had a supply issue with water over the years, and those that feel that it's not their issue, I really hope it does not become their issue or our issue or any resident's issue, that when they turn the tap on, that that there's an expensive drop of water coming out because we need to haul water because of the lack of conservation efforts. I'm not suggesting that all conservation efforts would have made a difference or a dramatic difference, but still the effort needs to be made. It is a challenge. Anyway, all those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Consent agenda, moved by Councillor Urick, seconded by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, that all items listed under the consent agenda be approved/filed as recommended. Thoughts? All those in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. I'm going to flip right over to item number 9, items for consideration. Director Pohl, zoning amendment 10641 Main Street South Mountain. Any updates at all?
No, we're still waiting to hear back from the applicant.
I think it's been.
Recommend maybe that we take it off the agenda until we actually hear back.
You read my mind. I think Madam Clerk heard that I think all of council will be supportive of that idea of waiting till there's some update to come from Mr. Pohl. And I look to Mr. Cousineau, the Joel Steele Community Center sound system update.
So staff have implemented a temporary fix to the existing sound system. So basically we have shifted 2 of the 4 stand speakers to reposition them to face the ice surface for skaters to be able to hear music and announcements. All user groups have been notified and are satisfied with the interim solution. User groups have also been communicated with to review key features they would like to request for the new sound system, and that's been implemented into the scope of work from Octosound. Meetings with distributors of Octosound have been scheduled to review installation timelines, cost estimates, and potential reuse of existing components from our current system. So the next steps, the replacement of the sound system will be recommended as part of the 2026 budgeting process rather than a 2025 budget amendment, as the system is meeting the needs of all user groups.
Thank you very much for that. Questions, comments? Councilor Lennox?
Just want to give you a high five. Good job.
You got to enjoy it. That's the benefit of sitting there next to Councilor Lennox. You get the high five. Okay. Well, thank you. Is there anything further to update us on, Mr. Cousineau? Nothing. Thank you very much for the update. Appreciate it. Notices of motions. I see none in front of me. Boards and committees. County Council. I look to the Deputy Mayor for any updates. No.
I'm not prepared.
Okay. Okay, we did have a discussion about many things, but as for discussions affecting North Dundas, the biggest thing I found at the County Council meeting was we had a chance to talk about the library board and the library services and the Meet the Author event that was held October 6th in North Stormont in Avamore. I look forward to that happening again. There was a lot of information and challenges expressed about the repair and rebuild of County Road 22, which is at the north end of North Glengarry, North Stormont. It crosses into both. There was just today an SDG road tour where many of the county council members had an opportunity to travel the roads and to see the challenges that this upcoming budget will be faced with. I'm trying to slow down so you get a chance.
Oh, so I get a chance? Okay. Let's see. This doesn't affect North Dundas, but there was a plan from North Glengarry for the hospital, like a huge expansion that's planned for 8 years from now. But they had a really, really good presentation with what they have planned for the hospital. They expect that by 2034, I don't remember what year, they expect 30,000 people over the age of 80 in that area. And so they're actually preparing, you know, their health system to adapt to that dynamics. Anyways, it was interesting to think 8 years down the road, because as we know, from between now and 8 years down the road, the costs are going to increase dramatically. But they had a really good plan. Very good plan.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the Parade of Lights. We had the delegation tonight, so we got all the information, the most recent information from them. The Garden Party Market is November 22nd. November 22nd. It has proven in the past to be an exciting event, lots of people out and enjoying. The committee has been working hard to provide a high level of satisfaction to all those people that attend. Councillor Annabelle is on a holiday. He can't, so I'll just move to the CD, Chesterfield District Historical Society. This past weekend on Sunday, they hosted an event, presented an event called Voices of the Past. It was a historic tour of the starting of Chesterville. There was lots of great information provided. Being a native son of Chesterville, there was lots of information I found very intriguing, and it was an excellent event. I have to extend kudos to the crew at the CDHS for organizing it, to Caroline Roberts, to John Pemberton, and all of those people are involved in writing scripts, guiding the tours, seeing where Chesterville started, understanding George Hummel, the house, one of the first houses in Chesterville. The site is there. There's a home on that property. Remnants of that house are still available to see if you're able to convince the homeowner to let you in. What he was trying to drag us in and see the house, but he was in the midst of house cleaning that day, so we didn't get in. And to understand the changes that have taken place in Chesterville, the number of mills that were present in Chesterville because of the river, and of all of that, and the effort, to have an understanding of the effort that must have taken place 200 years ago, roughly, almost, to clear the land, to prepare it, to harvest crops from it, and just the lifestyle that must have been in that time of day, hauling ice out of the river, which there's photographs of the ice harvest without the electric refrigeration that we currently have. Just all those things. And there was such enthusiasm, and there's 80 people that had shown up throughout the day to take part in the tour and to pay attention to a debate between a fellow from Chesterfield, Rick Ventrella, who was portraying the candidate from Dundas in the 1860s, and myself portraying the incumbent from the 1860s. We were having a debate outside of the Hummel House, across from the Presbyterian Church in Chesterville. Rick Ventrella is quite a character. He's full of enthusiasm. Those that know Rick will appreciate what I'm saying. He added a lot to it, and I did well, but not as well as Rick. So it was a good day. I look forward to their enthusiasm carrying over, and maybe some other events of the similar nature taking place across North Dundas. There's lots of history in this community, and I look forward to their enthusiasm carrying forward. The carnival, Chesterfield Carnival, nothing? No. Green Action Gang, Councillor Lennox?
No major updates. Planters are off the bridge. The clerk sent me a contact number, and I'm going to contact them first thing tomorrow evening to get some minutes.
Thank you. Dairy Fest, Deputy Mayor? Downtown?
Nothing pressing, but the Remembrance Day banners are up downtown, so keep an eye out for them. If you see them.
And I had the opportunity to speak to one of your members today, Mr. Sandbelt. He's on his way back to North Dundas, and so I imagine there'll be some re-energizing going on some events, upcoming events. Morwood Rec Association, Councillor Lennox.
The MRA is doing great. They're having a lot of fun. They appreciate township support. The Lawn Tractor Parade is coming up again this year, second annual Lawn Tractor Parade. The date would be in the minutes, which should be attached to the thing online somewhere, the package. Yeah, so I would like to see more people out there decorating their lawn tractors. Mr. Mayor had a great Cub Cadet last year leading the parade, and I was following with a John Deere, so let's see some more green machines out there this year.
I wholeheartedly agree with your comments. It was a fantastic event. It needs to be supported. If you can trailer your decorated, lit up lawn tractor, it was a fantastic event. And it was supportive of the community food share.
That's correct. And I forget the numbers, but they did they exceeded their target by 2 times or 3 times, if memory serves me correct.
It was well promoted to see the people standing at the end of the driveways waiting to fill the wagons and trailers that were being hauled around of stuff. It was a fantastic event. Really nice. The next meeting is November 13th. Saying that, if there's no council comments, I think we've made lots of comments so far tonight. We're going to move back to, and this is to the folks in the room, we're going to move back to our in-camera session. We're going to go in camera at this point. Moved by Deputy Mayor Bergeron, second by Councillor Lennox. Be it resolved that council proceed to closed session at 6:25 p.m. pursuant to Municipal Act 2001, Section 2392, subsection D, labor relations or employee negotiations, and subsection 2392B, personal matters about an identifiable individual. All those in favor? Opposed, seeing none, that's carried.